And then finally, I'd like to announce the Secretary's upcoming travel next week to Europe. Secretary Tillerson will travel to London, Paris, Warsaw, and also Davos, Switzerland, January 21st to the 27th. On January the 21st, he'll arrive in London, where he will meet with Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and National Security Advisor Mark Sedwill to discuss our cooperation on issues of mutual concern around the world, including Iran, Syria, Libya, North Korea, and also Ukraine. While in Paris on January the 23rd, he will meet with senior French officials to discuss global issues of mutual concern, including Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Libya, DPRK, and Ukraine, in addition to other areas of bilateral interest.
I think you mentioned a number of Middle Eastern countries he was going to discuss there, including, if I heard correctly, Iran, Syria, and Libya. But I know that I did not hear Iraq. And he's talking about those countries like Iran to the east of Iraq and Syria to the west of Iraq, but not the country in the middle?
I imagine it will come up, certainly, Lori. There probably aren't many discussions that take place surrounding the countries in that region without mentioning Iraq as well. Okay? Lori, I know you probably want to talk.
Turkey.
Oh, guys.
The Turkish foreign minister has said that your position on an SDF border force in Syria remains unsatisfactory. What's your response to his statement?
He did say that is unsatisfactory?
Yes, the Secretary spoke.
I was not aware of that, but the Secretary, I think, addressed that very clearly yesterday, in which he said it was unfortunate. Someone clearly misspoke about the activities taking place. This is an internal security force that the United States is involved with. The main reason we are there in Syria is to fight ISIS. That has not changed. That is our main focus there. I'm sorry that the Turkish individual feels that way, but let me just remind you some of what the Secretary said about this. Quote, we are not creating a border security force at all. We've shared with the Turks what we are doing. We are trying to ensure that local elements are providing security to liberated areas. He goes on to say this is just one more training and trying to block ISIS from their escape routes. In addition to that, and I think the best place to point you is to the Department of Defense. They put out a note yesterday in which they clarified some of the activities taking place and additional details about that. So I'd have to refer the Turks to the DOD memo that went out.
Roger, the Turkey also looks like it is about to invade the Kurdish canton of Afrin in the west. Is that how you see it? And what's your comment on those apparent preparations for an attack?
Yeah, well, we certainly don't know that would be the case. We would call on, certainly on the Turks, to not take any actions of that sort. We want everyone there to keep their eye. I'll go back to something I said when we were talking about Iraq and the referendum, to keep their eye on the ball. And the focus needs to be on ISIS. So we don't want them to engage in violence, but we want them to keep focused on ISIS.
So you oppose any Turkish attack on Afrin?
Look, at this time, we want people to stay focused on ISIS.